Welcome, everyone, to Love Rewired. My name is Claudine, and this is going to be an evening of hopefully an interactivity. What you put into this workshop, you will get out of this workshop. I make some promises. I will deliver on what I say I'm going to deliver on tonight. And if you want to deepen your experience, come off your phone, come off your computer, come on screen, or unmute, raise your hand so we can deepen your experience here tonight. So we'll keep admitting people, but for right now, I want to just center us. My feet are on the floor. I'm feeling the support of my chair. Just want to ground us into some collective breath together. So I want to encourage everyone to take 3 deep breaths together. I will do the count. We're going to inhale for 4. We're going to hold for 6 seconds, and then we're going to exhale. I think with sound is always better. So we're going to do that together. Start of 1, 2, 3. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold it for 6. Exhale for 7. One more time. Inhale for 4. Hold it for 6. Exhale for 7. One more time. Last time together. Let's inhale together. Hold it. Exhale with sound. Just notice your body. Welcome yourself here. Thank you for putting everything else aside to say this was important for you. Your curiosity, whatever brought you here tonight, I welcome you completely here. Thank you. So let me ask you a question. Are you willing to spend another year breaking your own heart? Let me know in the chat. Do you want to break your own heart? Want to break it open? Do you want to break it in pain? You tell me. What are you willing to spend the energy on this coming year, right? Today is the start of the fire horse. We talk about this lunar year. So are you willing to spend another year breaking your own heart? Yes, no in the chat. What are people willing to do for this coming year? No. Thank you, Angela. Absolutely ready to break it open. Thank you, Dawn. I'm curious about everybody else. I know we have 17 people here. Nope. Thank you, iPhone. I appreciate that. Great. That's the choice here tonight. Am I willing to learn something new so I don't break my own heart? Right? I've got to ask one more question. The issue isn't what we want, it's where we feel stuck. That's where we're going to go tonight, because that's a pattern. If we feel stuck, we're in a pattern. Right? And often the patterns re-injure our own heart. We re-injure it, not intentionally, of course, not maliciously at all. Right? One word in the chat about how you feel about your love life right now. Recognizing this is not every word possible, not every emotion possible. What's a word that you would say describes your love life right now? If there was anything optimistic, oh, I like that. Enough is enough with shedding. All right, Myra, I agree with you. Disappointed, thank you. Jessica, Myra, excited about newness. Ooh, this is an exciting time then if you're in that. Broken. Appreciate understanding that too from your experience, Jessica. Okay. All right. So we all have different emotions being generated. I think that's excited, Tanya. I think. It looks like it. I'm not sure what that word is. Fulfilled. Ooh, oh, I like that one. Really great. Recognizing we also, in balance, Patty, we also are co-creators of our experience. Maybe exhausted. Oh, thank you, Dawn. Okay. We create this. We see it, we witness it, and right, that's what we're here to talk about. Where are we stuck? What is that? One of the things I want to speak into for a moment is like this. There's a lot of new studies about the shift happening in dating, the shift happening in women's worlds, right? One of the fascinating news discoveries is the more successful a woman is in her career, the weaker her romantic relationship is. We're watching study come out where there is this idea that you're going to make decisions in your business life, be successful, be present to it, accelerate there, and then shift into softness, providing, doing the laundry, doing the meals, doing life, right? And more women are saying they're tired by it, and the relationship efforting doesn't feel equal from their partners, where they feel like they're doing and attending and not attending to self, where more people are feeling lost or disconnected from themselves and their own sense of fulfillment and satisfaction. That's one news study. The other is we have more what we call gray silver divorce than we've ever had, where more women over 50 are choosing to divorce. And that's not something our prior generations did, sometimes due to economics. So if women are more successful, they can also say, you know, I'm willing to live on my terms, maybe not all the furnishings that I had. I'd rather live on my terms versus settling for this, because this relationship's not fulfilling. It's just some interesting trends to recognize, right? What does this mean for men who are being left more at a rapid rate? Or also seeing wives struggle and saying, I don't feel attended to, I don't feel nurtured, I don't feel seen in the relationship. So interesting kind of concepts. I want to just set the tone for tonight. So a lot of people be like, yeah, but Claudine, I'm doing the work. I'm putting myself first, I'm doing self-care. I'm being aware of how I show up. And yet I keep choosing people who don't choose me. I keep people pleasing, right? I keep doing it at my cost, right? What more do I have to do? Do I need to do to have my needs met, to feel seen, heard, and valued? And I think that is what has been so difficult for some of the women I see in coaching and counseling, is they are doing the work, and the work doesn't get broken quickly, right? Because there's a pattern that we've been wired for here. Right? These are all survival patterns. The overdoing, the drinking to keep the peace, the chasing is all things that worked for us when we were younger. And yet it keeps coming up. So let's take a look at that pattern tonight. Okay. So there is, I'll say, the challenge, the problem is patterns in love. And that's what this is about Love Rewire tonight, is where are we in our cycle? Where are we in stuckness, to use language that was shared before? Because here's something we all know. We are wired for both connection and we are wired for protection. And this is a real interesting dynamic and dance when we're in intimacy, right? Because we are drawn to intimacy. We are wired to be in connection with friends, with family, with lovers, with colleagues. And at the same time, we're always scanning for danger. That is a biological evolutionary wiring. Yep. Also childhood traumas. I'm not there yet, though. Before we even get to childhood traumas, there is something innate in all of us. We were always looking for bears, tigers, and lions. So recognize 80% of the time, this amazing thing here is looking for danger. Only 20% of the time is looking for the good. And then you're right that we add on traumas, Janet. So we often get taught how to relate by our family members, our socialization, our school systems. We understand what it means to be safe in that system. Doesn't mean in every system, by the way, right? Yes, then we have childhood traumas, right? And often we're taught by our society to even abandon us. I could tell you how many times I got heard, shh, girls aren't supposed to be heard. Kids aren't supposed to be seen or heard. That tells us somewhere we have to shrink for someone else. So recognizing as we move into this evening together, we have some biological wiring that then gets impacted by generations, by traumas, by society, right? And it's also biologically driven. Just want to keep this premise, right? Yep. Tanya's saying generational abuse often manifests in our adult. Yeah, it does. But this is what I want to say, and I was saying that before. This is neuroscience. It is not our fault that we're looking for danger. It is not our fault that trauma has us wired more for protection now, right? We're aware that our brain is really active when we can be in our safe, logical mind, right? That's great. But when we are under a threat or we're looking for threat, we're in our limbic system, like I often call it hijacked. You can call it dysregulated, feeling unsafe. We are getting activated in our nervous system. So once our nervous system smells some form of threat, it's active. We're on the move. And if we have survived trauma and generational trauma, we are certainly going to be looking for it, right? We know there's been wiring to trauma. So that has made us more sensitive, right? Because of that wiring with our neurotransmitter and neural pathways. So understand, this is not fault. This is biology. I say that to give us some context. I often hear people shaming and blaming themselves. Studying polyvagal theory, right? This is really the theory about our states, our internal states, where we recognize something called the vagal nerve, which is here in the brainstem that goes all the way down to our toes. When that amygdala, right here at the bottom of our brainstem, starts getting activated, literally, it's sending signals. It's either going to hyper arouse us or hypo, right? Where we're going to get really depressive. So, right, recognizing what you do and how you react, it's not with intention. It's because we're wired for protection and connection. But a lot of us have gotten lies about relationships. I don't know if anybody else has. But I'm curious for a moment, Dawn, if you could put up poll number 1, I'd appreciate that. Ron? No. Okay. Well, we're going to keep moving now. So there is what I like to say some lies here. I call it lies because I think we've been socialized to believe, right, the new hot word in social media has been chosen. Like, if I'm chosen, then I know I'm okay. That validates me. Or when you find the right person, everything's going to be easy and it'll fall into place. And I often say there'll be ease. I don't know that it'll be easy, but there will be more ease and alignment. We're not told that one. We're like, there's that magical one. It should be effortless. The person will complete you. That's really, is that accurate? I'm not too sure about that. Right? And these lies keep us searching or having a second guess on top of the biology and the traumas. You kind of sometimes think, well, how come that's not happening here for me? It does not, right? Because none of those lies are going to create lasting relationships. Like this idea of chasing or getting it right, or if I do enough, it's not going to keep a relationship going, right? I often call it the hamster wheel, right? That I keep struggling. Now we know that there's phases of relationships. Stage 1, right? That's where the bliss is. And stage 2 is around power and control, right? But where are we struggling in a way that we self-abandoned? Where am I keeping the peace at my cost? Where am I, not allowing myself to be seen? Where are the arguments that we're having that keep us really? I have sessions with people and I ask them, like, are you really arguing over the bedspread? No, we're arguing over power and control. I want to be heard. I want to be considered. I want my opinion to mean something. But it sounds like we're arguing over sheets, dinner, perhaps someone making a decision. It's right, the hamster wheels, because those lies stay alive. I thought it was supposed to be easy. I thought they were supposed to know and mind read. I have a lot of clients who are like, I thought men should just know that women like this. I'm like, not everybody's the same. Not at all. Right. What we're really about tonight is let's see if we can create some new experiences. And I want to do that together. It's a very experiential class. I'll talk for a little while, and trust me, we'll get into some experiences. There's a method that I use, which is really about becoming the partner you seek, right? Not waiting for the love and then I'll show up, but show up as if you are with your best lover in the world, because it's you, right? Where can we express ourselves without explanation or apology? Safety is in our body all the time, and that there is the ability to trust that you won't lose your power if you love. And that's the method that I move my clients through. So, right, it's not always about finding the one. It's really about becoming the one, as I often say. But I would ask you all this. If you're willing to share, what is one rule that you have about love that you've internalized from the way you were raised? Curious. If anyone could put that in the chat. What is a rule that you were raised on?
Claudine, are you saying a rule?
A rule, yes. You internalize like as a rule about relationships,
like children should be seen, not heard, that kind of rule.
Exactly, where there is this place that if I find the one, it'll last forever. I think that's like a okay, be there. Everyone comes first. Thank you, Nicole. Sacrifice. I like to understand, Myra, what you mean more by that. Love doesn't hurt, right? So yeah, it's a very interesting, right? That we pick up on these things and then we live as if they're true. I believe in fairy tale stories. Yep. If I express my needs, I'll be rejected. Right? That Jessica's the one I always was, right? If you express your needs, you're just too much. That's what I heard. Or you're too sensitive. Your time will come. And so I just kept thinking, if I waited, if I did all the right things, it would be my time finally. That was sadly not a reality. No. The only thing that makes us the right one is really our relationships reflect our self-worth. That we know for sure. That we've come to understand. Yeah. So let's get down to this. Why do people choose to do the work? I'm not going to read into the statistics. We do know that when people do commit to looking at their patterns, looking at how they show up, looking at these lies or rules, however we want to look at them, call them, that they have a different awareness about entering relationships. There's a different consciousness. It's different things that they look for. There's own self-confidence. But I said before I transitioned the slide, is it honestly, it's the increase in self-worth. Because when I own how worthy I am or how good I am, however you phrase it, some people use the word self-esteem, then that is going to guide. I won't settle. But everyone's always a reflection of where we are with our self-worth and value, who we date. That wound, right? And I appreciate there's some people still writing some of the lies they had in relationships. If I fix all my problems, there won't be any more. If I can get them to understand me, then they'll love me, right? And we chase and we stay and we stay. We give more, we do more, and we still don't get our needs met. Right? And that's why people do choose to do the work. Like, I want to break that pattern because now I have to own it as mine. Or relationally, that's what I've created with my partner, right? So these are my commitments to you. By the end of the class, we'll identify your attachment style and how that's driving your patterns, understand your nervous system shapes safety, and the best model, which is what I talked about before, which is really becoming the beloved you want, being able to express, having secure, and having trust in self. So I'm going to ask you, and I will do the poll, I guess. This is a poll of readiness. I will see if I can get that up. And let's see, this is interesting. Okay, polls. So we have, let me launch this one. I'm going to ask you right now, how ready are you to stop repeating a pattern and start rewiring for secure love? Is it your time? I would ask everyone to complete this. We have 19 people on the phone right now. What's good for you? Are you ready? Some people are just like, I'm just curious, or I don't know. I don't know that I want to do anything different right now. And that's okay. It's okay to accept what you have. Like, well, let's see what this woman's got to say. I'll stay even curious about this class tonight. Cool. That's fine. So thank you for those who did that. I'm just going to share the results, right? There's 6 people already. Some are saying, I'm a little scared right now. But something in me wants some, and some really just, I'm not sure. I don't want to fail again. And I really can honor that part. Like no, I don't want to go through that again. Right. Yeah. So this is the promise I make to you at the end of this. You will have an opportunity to break one of the patterns that you have tonight. At least see and be with it in a different way. And if you continue that work, it will break the pattern over time. That's a truth, and that's a promise. Right? Who am I? I said earlier, my name is Claudine Chiarmonte. I'm a psychotherapist. I'm a relationship coach. Oh my gosh, I've been doing this for 32 years now, which to me is amazing. Right now, I'm a co-owner of a retreat center. I love to facilitate trainings in person and online. I'm also a breath worker. I use different modalities. Yep, I was trauma-informed therapist 20 years ago. We know so much more about trauma now than we did, right? Also now I've added breath worker, somatic practitioner, right? Because we recognize the body holds so much wisdom, right? As the book says, body keeps score. So I help, young professionals or achieving professionals and entrepreneurs revolutionize their relationship with themselves and ultimately with their love life. That's what I've been doing for many, many years. I share this. These are never easy pictures for me to see. I've been doing this training for almost a year now. And that's because I see my pain. I see what I carried in my marriage. That's my father, though, in the middle. And the weight to me represents where I self-abandoned, where I stayed in the lie that I was not good enough, that I had to do more to be loved. I had to compensate for the amount of money my partner brought in versus me, the social worker. And I had worked myself into exhaustion. I actually worked myself into a car accident where I was hit by a drug driver. And that was 10 years ago. So this is very much, I call myself a recovering avoidant. I'll explain what an avoidant person is. I'm always a recovering perfectionist and people pleaser. They're my survival patterns. I think if I get it right, peace, my turn, finally be appreciated, I'll finally be valued. When I'm acting from those places, I know something's going on. They've become information for me when I go there. This is who I am now. Yeah, there may be 180, 200 pounds lighter, but it's not about the weight. It's about the worth. Because this is the part that went no more. No freaking more. I won't do it to myself. I won't sell myself out. Yes, it took divorce. Yes, it took not walking for 9 months, but that was the catalyst to say life has got to be different. And I share that because it's a journey, right? Yeah, I've been a psychotherapist for 32 years, and there's always a place of revealing and shedding and breaking and interrupting patterns, as well as deepening my self-love, my self-awareness, my self-worth. And the reality is, I've never been broken. I have never been broken. And that was the lie that 380 pounds covered up for me, because I believed I was broken and I had to earn my way back to wholeness. Hell be no. I am always perfect, whole, and complete as I am, as are you. And so why do I share those slides? One, to get you to understand, I do know what the path of pain is. And I often say to my clients, if I could share something that would take my years of practice and bring it into a few months, that is the difference I want to make for people. I didn't walk in your shoes, but I certainly understand the shoes of self-abandonment, not recognizing my worth, and settling. Or as Dawn knows, I also call it tolerating. She calls it pandering. I do know what it is to serve someone at my own cost. And that is a hell no, right? I will choose me over the loss of me now. So that's really what this is about. It's the difference, right? What is the healing about? Right? So people who go for results in therapy, we know that they see something. I know that my clients in my years leaving me, they leave me my ratings, they leave me reviews. I also love when they call or text me back and be like, oh my God, I got married, right? I've been invited to more weddings, and I appreciate that there was something that changed in their lives. Or I've been also invited to, I guess we call it recommitment ceremonies now, which have gotten much more popular when people choose to do the work together as a couple and also come through their patterns. But there is something to be said for the work that people commit, right? So I do hear this from some clients. I don't get the time for this, Claude. That's probably the one I hear, because I'm working with professionals who are running businesses as entrepreneurs, running boardrooms as decision makers, or massive teams. And they're like, I just don't. And yet they're right. They recognize they're surviving. They recognize the amount of energy they're putting out there all the time. Part of it is they don't see the possibility fitting into their lives to do the work, to attend, oh my God, a therapy session every week or every two, or coaching twice a month. Right. Yeah. Or I've done this before. I can't tell you how many people be like, Claudine, I've done this like inner child thing. I spoke to her. I got to do that again? I'm like, yeah, we're really never done doing our work. If our younger child or inner child needs something, yeah, you got to go there. If the adult in you is like, hey, I haven't had fun, guess what? We got to go give that part of ourselves fun. Yeah. Have we tried it? We're not the same person. We know that healing is spiral. It's not linear. So we're going to visit issues again. We're going to visit parts of ourselves again. Yeah. So I know you've tried it. Just ask you to stay open, right? Some people are giving up on love. I'm not built for it. I've tried this. It hurts too much. I honor somebody who doesn't want to do that. They're not ready. I'm not here to force anyone's heart open. You're all worthy of love. We're all worthy of love. And I really would hope that if you choose not to be in a relationship, then you're choosing to say, I'm going to spend this time deepening this love right here. Right? I'm going to look in the mirror every day, and I'm going to share how much I admire this person I see in my reflection. Right. And often we hear, I don't have the money. Right? There's just a reality of, right. Money depends on how you measure it. If it's time and energy, that's one thing. Right. Economics is another thing. But I would say there is work to be done. And I hope that you can break through that if you're considering doing work. This is one of my clients, Jade. She's an extraordinary coach. She's a career coach. Really, when I've met her due to her trauma history, left her mother's home at 15 by choice, got legal support on doing that. Right. So guardedness is survival for her. Right. So who did she attract? The unavailable, the unsafe, the unaccountable partner. So that's chaos. And so for her, it's this fighting, it's this protecting all the time, right? Not a lot of harmony, not a lot of cooperation, often protecting from being rejected. Her motto is, I'm just not likable. Right? We've worked together for 1.5 years. And I will tell you she's learned about loving herself and forgiving herself, giving the emotion to where it needed to be, which is with her family, not on herself, setting boundaries with her children, with her husband, even moving towards whether or not this is the marriage for her or not. And he gets to show up or not. They get to change those patterns together. But there's a mutuality. There's when it comes to topics that matter, it's not always her forging her own way, right? She has written a book. She's allowing herself to be seen. She's in like the networking of Wharton and other business schools, really allowing herself to stand up. And the great thing is Jade's not even 5 feet tall, and she's a freaking domino. She's just amazing to be around. And I think it's amazing when we get to hold women high and they get to be seen no matter what their size is. And it's been a pleasure to be her witness and cheerleader on the side. Always, always. But here is why it is the best time to take action, right? Because if we don't, we keep repeating them. And I think I've said that enough tonight, like where you recognize if I don't do something, right, our brain will bring us back. I've done this work, doesn't mean I don't go back to this. Doesn't mean, like I said before, I don't go back to my people pleasing. Right? Because when I sense a threat or I can't get my need met, I'm detecting threat, even though there may not be. A younger part of me is feeling threat. I'm going to go back to an old survival skill. Right? We have our attachment styles that get kicked up in intimacy, in relationships. Those wounds that we don't will become a familiar pattern if we don't attend to those things, right? And this does go back to our childhood. At the same time, when we're in relationship with each other, our nervous systems are reading each other all the time in friendships, siblinghood, parent-child, lovers. We're always doing that. Oh, am I safe here? Dawn, overgiving is a disaster. Yeah, it is. And that's why we're breaking the patterns. There's no way we can do this if we don't. So as we get into some of the experiential, just let me know you're in. Are you in? Am I in? Where are we at in terms of put it in the chat? I'm ready. I'm ready to show up and start some transformation. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Angela. Anyone else? Oh, right. Nicole, ready. You even go further. I like that. Jessica, thank you. Great. Want to speak about the method, and then we're going to go practice the method, right? So when we are even in relationship, people come therapy and coaching saying, I'm lonely. I don't like the results I'm getting, right? So how do I generate belovedship? I don't even feel seen. I feel lonely in my relationship, or I feel lonely in life. Perhaps it's even older than where we are, right? And I had a client today that loneliness is something he's been carrying since childhood. So yeah, he's feeling again in his adulthood as he's separated and starting a new life for himself, right? Where are we allowing ourselves expression? Where are we opening up our throat chakra to allow our voice to be heard? Right? How are we coming to a sense of our own security and safety here? And what do we need to do to be in a state of trusting? Right? We're often after abandonment, we're feeling triggered. We have a break in trust. Yes, maybe with someone else, but also with ourselves. And that's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to ask, it's actually a poll. It's a poll 3, Dawn. What word in this feels the hardest for you right now, right? Feeling like the beloved, maybe expressing your truth, feeling secure and emotionally safe in relationships, trusting others. Which one feels least accessible to you? Just curious what people may be sensing right now. Okay, feeling like the beloved. Yeah, that I'm worthy of love. Yeah, I really appreciate who was ever answering that. Expressing my truth without fear. Mm-hmm. Anyone else want to give us, right? Trusting others, feeling secure. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for everyone who's just responded. Right. So as you can see from the results, there's a lot of people are feeling like, ooh, belovedship, right? That I am worthy of love. I'm worthy of love. And I always say this, and Dawn knows it. We're inherently worthy. We're inherently worthy. Events have told us something different, though, in our lives. Yeah. So we're going to get to some of the exercises. I don't know where everyone is, but this is what I will say. If you're driving, please, you don't need to be doing this. So I'm hoping everyone is in a safe, comfortable place right now. And so just relax where you are. I'm going to just take you through an activity. And it's the mirror of belonging. Okay. So if you can, just allow yourself to be for a moment. I'm going to just guide you. where you don't have to go anywhere to earn love. You don't have to fix. You have to be anyone but you. I'm just going to ask you to be with a part of you that wants to be held. The part that just is, doesn't have to perform. So if you'd like to close your eyes, place one hand on your heart and one on your belly. Just going to encourage you to notice your breath. No need to change it. Just be here. Yeah, just let yourself be. Now bring to mind a younger version of yourself. Maybe a 5, 7, 8-year-old. Some age where you remember feeling tender, maybe left out, unseen, and appreciated. Picture you standing in front of this younger part of yourself. See the younger, just look at this younger person in front of you. Really look at it. See their face. What's their expression? How sharp are their eyes? What's their posture? Sense they're open, sense they're not. Ask you to really look at their face one more time. What do you sense their mood is? Gently imagine placing your hands on the shoulder, both shoulders. I want you to look into this younger person's eyes. You could say this out loud right now or silently, depends on where you are. You are my beloved, and I will never leave you. You are my beloved, and I will never leave you. Just want you to breathe. Let those words just ripple throughout you. Notice what softens, what resists. Just be there. I encourage you, take one more breath and say, you belong to me. You belong to me. Thank this version of you for appearing tonight. When you're ready, open your eyes, take your time. I would encourage anyone who would like to share in the chat, if you want to raise your hand or let Dawn know you'd like to talk, to share with us what shifted when you met yourself as a beloved. You recognized you are your younger child's beloved as an adult. Anybody have anything they want to share? Jessica says it really felt good. Yeah. That part of you Ever age came to you. Oh, Nicole. Hear me
Yeah.
on.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, Nicole.
I just was picturing me at different times when I was younger, maybe a little bit older than 6 or 7 or 8, and thinking back about, what was important to me, what I
Mhm.
looked like, who I was hanging out with, what I was doing, kind of thing. And I felt really a mixed bag because I remember having such innocence, right?
Yep.
That it was so much fun to always play, do whatever I want, kind of thing. But at the same time, it's like, oh, well, just look out around the corner because it's going to come. And then I felt kind of bad. But then
Yeah.
I also recognized that with all that pain was that joy out of being that young again. But
Yeah.
obviously the thing that stuck out was that trauma about when I was younger. Um,
Thank you for sharing that.
and yeah, I just want to say, like, I tried to just give her power and just say, don't worry, it's going to be okay.
You're revealing to, this is what I'm hearing, is that there's a part of you at the adult here, Nicole, and your younger part that actually still needs safety.
Yes,
That there's this
absolutely.
area of hyper alertness that's still very much alive in you. Right. My guess is it shows up in your relationships now.
Um, yeah,
Shoe
I'm
could
trying
drop.
to work on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, please. Right. So safety, we're going to do an exercise about safety. What I would encourage you when it's real, Nicole, if you're in a place, I'm just going to make this up for a moment, you're in your car and you're driving. And if you truly can say, something, I feel safe right now, that safety is alive in my body. I would never say it to yourself if you don't feel it. That's why I'm saying it may be in a certain place. Like if you recognize you're experiencing it, because let me ask you, most of us know what doesn't feel safe. Correct? So do you, Nicole, have a sense of what does feel safe for you?
I do,
Yeah.
but it seems it's in sprinkles kind of thing. I do not make that last.
Yep.
I do not keep it forward.
Yeah, okay, right. No criticism, no judgment here. That means you have access to it. I want you to recognize that that is number one. Number two is wherever we put our attention, it grows. So right, if you intentionally like, I'm going to start working on safety more. Because until your system is experiencing safety, we're going to get locked into our survival patterns. That's why they're there. So I would encourage you to spend whatever time you can in that practice of bringing safety and just stay around because we're going to do that to not the next activity after that. Okay. And get a sense of it. But thank you. Thank you for sharing coming off screen. I love this quote by Rumi: to find the beloved, you must first become the beloved. Because here's one of the lies. I know I got it. Was once you're loved, everything will be like magic. It'd be magical. Because we keep thinking the beloved ship is outside. She's got to create that in me. That's a lie. I can only be loved to the level I love me. And the person loving me can only love me to the capacity they love themselves. So if I'm not feeling very lovable, guess what? I kept attracting unavailable people who also struggled with self-love, very emotionally unavailable. It was my mirror. So until I started to choose me, I chose a pattern. Just want to say that. But I do love this quote from I love Rumi. So the next activity I would like to do, if you have a journal, if you have a piece of paper, if you don't, that's great. Don't worry about it. So here's the invitation. And I'm going to hope someone will come on screen or put it in here on the chat. Is either say something out loud, right? We can't hear you right this moment, or write something down that you haven't dared say out loud in your relationship. Like even stand up, right? Like I sometimes think like, oh, when I have something to say, I want to feel it from my solar plexus. I want to feel it from that area. So I want your voice to vibrate it.
Like you're
Right. So
all-
sometimes it could be, how dare you? Or no, no more.
That's fucked up shit you've done. The
Rick, I
guys-
could hear that one. I heard that one. I just muted you, Rick, but that's cool. Right. And I'm hoping you were talking to that part of you. And I will quote him. That's some fucked up shit you did. Excuse my language. Great. Because when we don't, we keep that in. So anyone want to tell us, take a moment, write it down, a truth that you've been afraid to say out loud in your current or past relationship. What would it feel like to say this without an apology?
Oops.
I second Rick's emotion. That was great. I love it. Very funny. Yeah. I know for me, one of them was, I will not beg for your love. It was a hell no for me.
Oh,
Right. Didn't realize when Mike was like, no. Oh, Rick, I love your courage.
yeah, that's good.
No, yeah. Nicole is, I don't need your approval to know my feelings are true. Right. Yeah. What's it feel like to finally be able to say it? I feel as though I'm in constant war, Antoine. If that's what it feels like to be in your relationship or where you are, I appreciate your saying that out loud here safely. I know I feel a little bit of freedom and power when I say what I want to say, because all that matters is this is true for me, and that's what matters.
Mm.
Is how many of us have not said out loud the thing we want to say to either our present partner or our past partner, because we're keeping the peace. Maybe it's not fair fighting if you're doing the Gottman method. I honor that too. There's a place where our truth is living in you. And for women, I'm not saying men, you have your own, but women are asked to keep their voices down. We get very different adjectives and descriptions when we are boisterous. So we have learned to mute and tame our voice. I'm not saying men aren't, but I can only tell you the messages I have. Men have been asked to emotionally suppress. Don't show emotion. Provide for the family. Be strong. And now women are like, well, I need emotional tenderness. Like, what the hell do you need, women? I was told and brought up to emotionally suppress. So men are also have this double-edged sword. I wish I would stop with the bullshit and just love me like you used to. My language was pretty crude. Yeah, it was, Rick. It's okay. Yeah. Like, what the hell got in the way of how you love me? Right? Hear that a lot. I don't know, time. I guess we've been together too long. No. I want to encourage everyone to spend some time in their truths, because it's vibrationally already living in you. What you think you haven't said out loud, don't think you haven't expressed in your face, your body language, your energy, your response, your tone and affect. Be honest. I'm not saying with your partner, with yourself. So if you want to yell at somebody and be like, just, love me the way you used to, and it's really voluminous the way you want to say it, I would go to your car. I would go in a room. I would say it in your hands, not to suppress it. Not to suppress it. That's the gift. Right. Here's the invitation. You have been given permission to express. I know it's a socialization we were taught not to. Yeah. Well, here we go. Going. So Dawn happens to be on this call tonight. And so I'm going to speak as if Dawn wasn't here for a moment, because when I get to this slide, I always say the same thing. God, I freaking love this woman. Right. I've known her for many years. She's been an inspiration in different quiet ways and creative ways. And when I first met Dawn, right, Dawn had the wall of accomplishment. That if I achieve enough, I will be loved, respected, and honored. That's how I always read it. We could joke about it now, but it's not funny because that was a truth for her. The degrees, the certifications, she's a CFO. She was, among very few, no woman except for her at SUNY, college, being an accountant. So she's a trailblazer on top of it, but how to keep proving that to everybody else, but really to herself. So from that place of I've got to do, I have to earn love, Dawn chose a man who she stayed in that relationship of I will earn, I will provide, I will give, and I will give to the point of my health. She had very acute autoimmune illnesses, had died at one point, came back, right? Where the self-attack became the expression because it couldn't be outward. So Dawn went inward with it, right? Kept the peace at her own voice. But always had this place of creativity where the authentic Dawn can blossom. This magic, fairy tale-y, inspirational, amazing creativity in this woman, right? But the journey was really of self-love. Because when the time was when she said no more, she said no more. She would stop pandering to her husband. She would stop paying for every damn bill except for, I think, a phone bill, if I'm correct. Woman paid for everything. The mortgage, the Superstorm Sandy rebuild, everything to keep the marriage in place so he would not leave because that was the worth. If I don't give, then you won't be here. We don't know because he never really showed up anyway emotionally because that's not what she was going to attract. Dawn made a choice to leave her marriage. And that was a vital day of choosing Dawn, right? Many people cheered because it was a sign of her own love, of self, her creativity, living on her terms. Yeah, it doesn't have the grand house on the water, but has the house in the woods, has her own sanctuary now that does not have her compromise herself to someone who will not be there. It's to attract and be in relationships by her choosing, by her boundaries, and by her standards. Right? She navigates a family of survival patterns all the time to stay true to herself. And that's the victory here, is that this super extraordinary woman who, yes, has this logical mind for numbers, also gave herself the permission to step into her greatness as an artist and a photographer. So it's this beautiful blossoming lotus that Dawn is. But that was a journey of really loving herself. And it would a witness for me to be in her journey. So thank you for being here tonight to support Dawn. And thank you for the years that you've let me be your witness and your friend. That being said, I'm going to move to security, particularly safety. So Nicole, it's an activity. I want to just give some context. I asked you a question that my own coach asked me. I do somatic coaching about 2-3 years ago. She's like, well, where's safety alive in you, Claudine? And I was like, what? Safety alive in me? Right. And she, right. And I had to sit with the question I asked you, Nicole, is I could tell you, I know when my body doesn't feel safe. I know how I respond. I know how I show up. I know what I don't say. I know what the feelings and sensations in my body are. So if you don't have a sense of safety, we're going to try it tonight a bit. Recognize you know what it isn't. So here's some clues. A lot of people, when they say they don't feel safe, they tend to round their shoulders, slouch more. They unknowingly protect the soft front. When we have a sense of safety, we tend to lean on our strong back and know we can move throughout the world. And I have the capacity to protect and stay safe here. So let's sit with this for a moment. I'm going to ask you to put your feet on the floor. If you're driving, do not do this, please. I encourage us to have as much hand-body contact if you can. Put your hand on your feet. I'm sorry, hands on your thighs, not on your feet. Okay. Let's just inhale. Let's take a breath or two together. We're going to inhale. We'll do everything on the fours. We're going to inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale on the 4. So inhale, hold for 4, exhale. One more time. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. Yeah. Okay. So I want you just to repeat this. See how it lands for you. I am safe in my body. I can stay with myself. I'm safe in my body, and I can stay with myself. Safe in my body, and I can stay with myself. I want you to start to scan your body. Notice any sensations, tingling, tightness, constriction. Maybe there's no sensation, there's numbness. Where in your body do you feel more open and safe right now? Just notice that. Be in curiosity with yourself. Do you need anything? Ask yourself, do I need anything to bring more safety? Does it need a reminder? I am safe in my body and I can stay with myself. Does it need your hands on any part of your body? You need to hear something, see something, smell something. If you can sense where safety is alive in you, for you, put your hand on that part of your body. Wherever safety feels alive. If it's like, oh, it's only in my pinky, Claudine. Okay. I have it here. If you sense it in your body, acknowledge it. Safety is alive in me. And I'm safe here. Safety is alive in my body. And I'm safe here. If your body's asking you for something, can you give it to yourself? If you do need anything. Say, hey, I need to get off this call. Hey, I need to go. Okay, so Jessica wrote, throat is closing, throat closing. Right? So does your throat need some safety? Was it ever unsafe because of what it said? Sometimes it needs assurance from you. I won't judge you for saying something. Tell me. Tell me what you have to say. You may want to play with your jaw a little, Jessica. I judge myself too harshly. I sense. When we judge, this gets tight. Even self-judgment. So what does that need from you right now? Kristen Neff does beautiful work around self-compassion. Recognizing often we become the creator of our own suffering. Can I give some love to myself? Even if I'm sorry I'm so harsh on you. Because if we're judging ourselves, guess what? We don't create safety here. Self-criticism, self-judgment, that actually tells us we're not safe. Okay, I appreciate that. So Jessica is sharing, Jessica says, like, when I stay in my body, I feel my broken heart more. Yeah, you're right. So you may only be able to do it for a certain amount of time. Like, I can only stay here for so long. The hurt gets too great, right? We try to move it to another minute. So I appreciate staying distracted and dissociating. Probably feels better emotionally, right? Recognize self-judgment, self-hatred, criticism will create unsafety in our body. If we are in a relationship where that's occurring, if that's a pattern from our childhood, then that too becomes our own voice. That's going to have us not feel safe. I know when I don't feel safe, I was 380 pounds. I would not lose that fat until I actually found safety. It wasn't from taking food away that has kept the weight off. It's finding safety. My fat was my protection. I'm a child welfare retiree. And the trauma in my own personal life and the trauma I witnessed, it was the only way in my mind that I could get through it. I could hold that pain. I didn't think this. That's the brilliance of my body. Once I was like, no, I can do safety on my own. The weight stays off for me. Literally. Fat is serving a purpose. Your closed throat is also sending you a message. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Just want to speak about attachments. It is all over social media right now. Do we all know what our attachment styles are? So Dawn, I'd ask if you could put my the link to my quiz in the chat. And in a moment, we'll do a poll. I just want to just speak for a moment. So attachment styles are all over social media. I got certified in attachment theory probably 25 years ago. Not that one, actually. It's a quiz. It's a relationship quiz. And I call it a continuum. It's a continuum of secure attachment, anxious, avoidant, and then disorganized, right? So we're all on the continuum. It is not a life sentence, right? It is not a life sentence. We talk about it as if, oh my God, you're dating an avoidant. We talk about it like someone's got the cooties or a diagnosis. It's just a way to use a word to describe how you related to your primary caregiver as a child. So most of us, it's our biological mother. Most of us, not all of us, come from child welfare. It's not necessarily the same. But it tells us how that relationship was. And so the pattern of what you expect is, I'm going to expect every relationship is going to show up like that primary caregiver did. So if I had a primary caregiver who was all over the place, I'm going to end up getting that also, right? So if I had someone who was one moment scaring the hell out of me, then loving me, and then erratic, maybe on drugs, or maybe just completely into their own world, there weren't any predictability. They scared you on how they showed up. I'm going to very disorganized. It means I have a little avoidant and a little anxious. So that's the disorganized style, right? It's if you pull away, I'm going to get anxious. If you come too close, I'm going to move away. Like, I don't know. I'm always reacting to how my caregiver, in this case, how my partner now as an adult shows up. The avoidant is, I call these, right? I'm a recovering avoidant. I got one foot out the door and I got one foot in the door. I want intimacy desperately. I want to love bomb you. I got dreams for us, babe. And the moment you come close, show need reassurance. I'm like, you're too needy. This is too much. I feel suffocated. Again, the emotional needs of the parent were primary, but that parent was very rarely available to the child. So, right, when the emotions or needs come out from a lover, it's like being right back with their mom again or their father. And they're like, I'm out. I can't do this. I need space. I can't handle it. We have the anxious. Anxious and avoidance, by the way, attract each other 90 something percent. I think it was, I read something, it's like 92%. So the anxious is the one who had caregivers that sometimes checked up on them, sometimes didn't check up on them. Yeah, how you doing? And then they avoid you, right? They care about your boo-boo and then you fall and break your arm and no one is even there. It's so inconsistent. So the anxious is always like, is someone there for me? Do you really love me? Do you care? What do you love about me? What is it? Don't you know what I want? I have expectations. You don't know. Because they don't know who they can trust. Their caregivers weren't there. Any predictability, with any consistency. So it has them show up in this way. I said earlier, we all have secure. And this is part of us that actually every once in a while, we're longer, is attuned, reciprocal, mutual, consistent. That's some of the foundations of a healthy relationship. We all have some of that in us to greater or lesser extent. And anyone who's on the journey or doing work, going to trainings, workshops, definitely do. Because that in itself is a statement about my self-love, my self-care. I want something different. So again, care, everyone on this call, you got the secure. If you don't know, well, let's go. Let's throw the poll up. I do believe that's poll number 4, Dawn, and just see, right? Do you know your attachment style? Do you know how you show up? Again, I know under distress, I show up as the avoidant. Right? So anyone see the quiz up? Right? What is your attachment style? What one do you identify with most? The anxious, the avoidant, the disorganized, the secure, the I'm not sure. Okay. Disorganized, you have a little bit of both. And it'll shift based on the person you're dating, just so you know. If you don't think disorganized, okay. Right. So if we're attracting someone who is much more aloof, we may get more anxious. All of a sudden we get someone who's like ridiculously overly attended, we may get avoided. So notice that's what the disorganized, they shift. If you don't know, in the chat, Dawn put up a link to take a quiz. It's like 10 quick questions. If you really don't know, you want to just know what your attachment style is. There's a whole lot of surveys and quizzes out there. I would suggest taking it just to like, oh, I figured that out. And if it's disorganized, there are ways to heal and to also own that and shift that approach. So please know, a life sentence, definitely not a life sentence. Just so you know. Right. So in this call, we have more people recognizing they're disorganized in their style. Okay. So one of the last activities I want to do, right, is the trusting, is the trigger to trusting. I think this is interesting. I love Gorbe Mate, who talks about the fact that you are definitely going to marry the person who triggers you the most. And I can remember hearing that in an interview and going, no, it must have been after a heartbreak. And I really recognize it is. We get most triggered in our loving relationships. It's not a bad sign. And people come and they were like, does that mean that we're screwed up as a couple? I'm like, no. It means there's a mirror. It means that they're revealing something in you that's not healed and vice versa. So it is not a bad thing, right? It's information and it's an invitation. So I want to invite you into something. I want to invite you into a recent moment where you were triggered. You close your eyes. Maybe you want to relive it for 5 seconds. I'm joking, but go back there. And maybe it happened earlier today on the road. Maybe it happened with somebody. I think it was yesterday, day before. Just relive that. I'm going to have you ask yourself something. What was I trying to protect in that moment? What was my trigger? Trying to protect in that moment. If anyone wants to share when they're ready, I would be more than happy to talk to someone. Maybe people know, what are you talking about? How could a trigger try to protect me? The trigger's telling you that something is still open and raw, still not healed. Something is you're trying to protect yourself, that part of you. I don't know if people recognize that. I'll give an example. I have Starlink, and I'm really struggling with it. I'm in my writer's cabin right now alone, by choice, working on a project. And I can't get the screens off these windows to put my Starlink to a different place, and I have more cord, more wire. So I got triggered. What was I protecting in my trigger? It was my own not wanting to relive that I'm not competent or that I'm a failure. Because my survival pattern, remember, is perfectionism. So the trigger comes to protect that part of my selfhood, my ego, my little girl. So I want you to think about your triggers the next time you have one. What are you trying to protect? It's giving you information. Can you thank it? Triggered by some screens? They're not that important. But I am. My little girl, who often had to hide and be strong in a family of 7, doesn't want to be seen as vulnerable or incompetent. That part got raised really quickly in me. And I let it go. It's like, oh, I see you. I see you, little shadow coming up. Thank you. Thank you for trying to protect me, but I don't need you. I got this. Jessica said, I'm trying to say I don't feel safe. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, Jessica. That was the trigger when you didn't feel safe? If it was, and it is your body's way of saying, like, I'll protect you. It's like it triggered. Yeah. Anybody want to share what came up for them? They want to come off camera? Just raise your hand. The trigger was protect me from not feeling safe. Yeah. Yeah. Our bodies are brilliant, right? Our minds are brilliant. But we really get to also come from the adult self with capital S, that part of us, that part, the adult part gets to talk to other parts. So that's a very younger part of me that got triggered with the screens, not the 58-year-old part of me, much younger version. Antoine, my trigger is being accused. I'm not protecting my younger self from accusations my parents made constantly. Ooh. Right. So that's how, if I'm reading that correctly, Antoine, that younger part is asking for protection. You can give that to you now. So that's how it showed up. Right. So in our last exercise of 2 ago was like going back and seeing that younger child. I will tell you some of the best medicine for our healing is with the younger version of ourselves. Because that's the part that's dating, by the way, not me, the 58-year-old. I'm pretty damn grounded. I freaking like myself. When my past gets triggered, I'm no longer 58. I'm completely in my limbic system brain at a younger age where I didn't have the skills and the capacity that I do now. So if I want to show up regulated as an adult in relationship, I've got to spend time regulating, backfilling, protecting, validating younger parts. And if that's what you're talking about, Antoine, it's like, so a younger part of you gets to be protected now because it couldn't be protected then. And that's your job now. Rick, my ex disappeared after we had spoken 3 weeks ago. Not a word. Ouch. Yeah, that's a trigger pain. So, I mean, I don't know if your body's like, hey, I'm not up to that connection again. Because that hurts. You don't just get to split on me and abandon me. Right? And if your body's telling you that, then Rick, there is a message like, I'm not willing to be spared anymore, even for her, whom you may love. Because that's not very loving. If she may have her own traumas and stuff, can she be accountable? That's very different. But your job is to protect you now as your little boy. Triggering, trying to protect positive sense of self when I get mad and defensive. Right? We know anger tends to be a message of violation. So if you could not protect yourself, and nor did anyone else to your level of what you deserve as your birthright, yeah, you're going to get triggered. Where do I need a boundary? Where do I need to say no? Where do I need to remove myself from? Where do I draw the line and go, no, no more. I decline. Dawn, sometimes I get triggered when too much is expected of me and I'm not set up. Yes, not good boundaries. Yeah. The over giving, the over providing, right? What you've conditioned others to expect of you. And how often, Dawn, are you saying no to them? When an inner part of you really wants to say no. I'd be curious. Like, yeah. And you're someone who delivers, by the way. So people have expectations. I want to encourage this. Whatever you choose to do work, not work, I want to just say, go back and play with your inner child. Go spend time with that part of yourself. In my coaching, group, I love to talk about play, erotic play and joyful play. So necessary and not talked about enough. But allowing those 2 parts of our play to come out, both our eroticism and our joyful discovery, kind of curious play, that is medicine as much as it's sitting down with your inner child and talking like we did tonight. So I really would invite you into that. And if you don't know how to do that, I invite you to check me out, I gotta say. I will share one last story about a client, Alex. Alex has been in my life since he's 15 years old. He just turned almost 30. Oh my God, he just turned 40. What am I saying? I just had the opportunity to be with him last month in Las Vegas. I can remember starting coaching with him when he owned a restaurant across Rutgers University in Newark. And he was brilliant enough to buy a little community in Newark, New Jersey. They were going to gentrify it a little. And they were going to put all these kind of very typical suburbia houses. And he bought one. And at the time that I met him, he was kind of all over, even though he had 2 distinct things, right? He had a home and he had a business. gaming ridiculous amount of hours, had ideas that he had no follow through on, disorganized. He was, in deep relationship before marriage, but acted like he was single, no consideration. He just chased all the time. Chased is the word I could say. And then when we really got to, like, what's your vision? What do you want? And his vision has always been, a little like Dawn, the creative, he's always wanted to educate people on real estate and make real estate or housing available to young kids. It's like, what are you doing in the restaurant business? And Alex sold everything. He sold a home and made a ridiculous amount of money, like over $500,000, sold the business, didn't do as well on that, right? But he started to get clearer. And right now, he's a man that has a portfolio worth over $40 million in real estate investments. He owns a company called Legends that he does educational breakthrough work. Legends, I think it's legends.com or legendsbreakthrough.com, where they do transformational trainings throughout the country, throughout the year, where he has set up relationships with foster care organizations that he's helping build houses and group homes in Las Vegas. He's finally in that place where he's getting that clarity, where he's seeing the ideas and starting to discern. This is a man who gets downloads all the time. He has 5 books going. He's finished a book. He's starting. That's just who he is. He's a creative, receptive vessel. But it was the focus. It was the ability to discern, the ability to say, what is my core vision? Not all these other things. Like, this is what it is. This is what I want. I want to stay in a committed relationship. I want to stay in my vision. Right. I'm really proud of him as a friend, as a man. He's been a great mentor to my nephew, Nick. Right. He's taught us all about real estate investments. Right. And he is someone who mentors the youth. He mentors people under 16, and they grow enormously because of him. Right. But it was about his clarity of vision in working in that and not this, that really has brought the success. And I don't mean that in dollars. I really mean it in terms of who he is. This is a man who now plays the guitar. He's in Peru right now. He chancellor at Christian Dallas, not the guy I met when he was in Newark, New Jersey. Right? He has evolved spiritually, emotionally, and certainly in a business sense. Great guy. So why is it so hard? Why is all this so hard? I think I've said enough about our patterns, right? Women are taught self-abandonment is okay. I was in a group the other night that I run, and I sat there, and these are women who have been molested by family members, whose parents looked at them and went, boys will be boys, whose pastors told them if they don't want to be with men, they should kill themselves. Like, that's abandonment. Like, what is that? Right? That's why it's so hard. When we think we have to perform, be perfect, overdo, overgive, ignore just to be in a relationship where we're running in our survival patterns. It's the same as I said to men earlier about men, right? They've been given mixed messages. We value the independent, brave, independent guy. Then, well, why can't you be interdependent with your wife or your girlfriend? Well, what is it you want? I was raised with one survival skill that was honored and celebrated, but now you're telling me that's not okay. Yeah. So men have to achieve. Why do men kill themselves? Right? Because they haven't achieved to be able to provide financial abilities. That's what we know. It's a setup for men who've been asked to hold all their emotions in and then be asked now to say, well, you need to create safety in relationships. That's why it's so hard, because who created it for them? Men and women have both been led by what our parents knew and did the best they could. We've learning differently And that's where we get to choose now for ourselves. Like, could we imagine actually being in a relationship where we're adored, where we're desired? Oh my God, we haven't even talked about erotic healthiness, right? Where when we express our needs, we're not told we're too much. We're like, tell me more, babe. Tell me more. I want to know what it is you need. I want to know what's been on your mind and keeping you up at night. That there's curiosity and interest. Where arms are those of security and safety and protection, not of threat and fear. Right? Where we can actually believe in what we're creating and trusting that what I say will not be used against me. That if I can't make a decision about dinner, it's not going to be thrown in my face. It's going to be seen as I see you're exhausted. And I'll decide tonight. Right? That I could be in a partnership. That I can become that loving for myself, that I attract someone that loving for me. Who would not stand for being abandoned, and nor would my partner want to see me abandoned. That's actually possible. It's actually possible. And if that is something, right, here's the reality. I hope at some point tonight I delivered on my promise, right? That you understand what is possible if you stop abandoning yourself, that you looked at one of your patterns and was like, no, that I do not want to do anymore, because that's what survival patterns are about. We do what we need to do at all costs, even us. Perfectionism at my cost. Overperforming, my cost. Emotional expression, my cost. Right? It is possible to be in a relationship without abandoning yourself. Yeah. So if anybody would like to have that kind of future of being that form of belovedness with yourself and so on, just write yes in the chat. Just curious. If anybody would like to create that, is willing to do that, willing to show up for themselves, for the younger version of themselves, the adult version of themselves, boundaries with your voice, right? That you get to say what you need to say. Right? I hope for Antoine and Rick that there's a part of you that's why you're here. To say, yeah, I want a different future. I don't want to keep going back. Or I don't want to keep waiting for my ex to get that. I'm here to tell you that is why I created the Alchemy of Love. Because I really do believe that our wisdom comes from our wounds. And until we love ourselves whole, right? This is what we're going to attract. My antidote is love. And I'm not here to say love is it. Love's an energy. What we put out, we receive back. I can't love myself fully. I'm going to meet that in my partner. I can tell you that from my heartbreak and from my divorce. I attract partners who had very low self-worth. As low as mine. As low as mine. Yeah, it's taken me in my 50s to finally say, I actually freaking love who I am. I appreciate who I am. I admire who I am. I don't say that from conceitedness. I say it from a journey of coming home. And that's what we do here. Because I do believe there's a power in being witnessed. This wasn't an experience of it tonight. I thank you for letting me witness you in chat and Nicole coming on the screen. But we heal in groups because we have relationships, right? We could do so much healing in private, and we do it through our relationships. So doing it in a container of group therapy group coaching is one of the ways that I do this. And it is over a 6-month container where we meet twice a week. There is so many extra things. It's not just let's do group coaching, right? It is a place where you get to be seen and valued, where we're using somatics, so you actually are in your body, that you're being witnessed by yet a buddy every week, but also a group of people who give you the feedback about how lovable you are, about how your needs are expected, how expectations or someone else's pressure being put on you. You get to have the life you say you want. You get to experience it in a container that you get to be with yourself and others, because that's where we experience it. The more we heal with others, We get to do that outside of the, right? So there's a lot of different pieces to it. Yeah, there's community contact, there's the hot seat and coaching, thrown in a lot of other offers. Take a look at it. Because if you want that relationship with yourself and someone else, we've got to make a commitment to shift, to open up, to be in an experience, right? So yeah, I have different assessment tools. I meet with people before and after because I think we really get to anchor in a vision. And I'm going to say a key word here about any work we do is integration. How are we integrating this back into our lives? Right? I use different modalities such as our breath work, guided meditation, right? Because all of those let us access ourselves in a different way, not just here. We can't think our way out of this, people. We're going to need to access the mind, body, spirit connection. So if that is something you want to heal from, right? But let's be clear. I know the doubts that people have, right? We go back to money, time, and I've done this before. It doesn't work. There are heavy costs to pay. Heavy costs, right? There is a special offer. Dawn, if you could put the link for the class, I know it's on my screen. Thank you. Take a look. It's an offer for the next 72 hours. I appreciate the commitment that you're here. It tells me something. Yeah, you were scrolling and you saw something about Love Rewired. Something about the ad spoke to you, recognizing this pattern keeps getting me the same result. That's the one I got. I had to sit back and go like, what do they all have in common? None of my relationships ended because there was no love. That's the painful part. I was actively in love with all of my partners. I know they loved me. It wasn't about that. Our emotional attunement, our triggers, our willingness to listen and be present, to do the work together, wasn't there. I also wasn't fully here for me. I was guarded a lot. I was protected a lot until I could let that go and love myself. Changed my life, changed my love life, actually. Anyway, that's what I offer to people. And so if that's something you're open to, I want to thank you for being here tonight. And thank you for the honesty, taking the time out of your life to learn something. And I do hope you got to see that any of the patterns, like the 4 we recognized tonight, maybe not speaking up, finding safety. And if you visited any of those patterns, they are breakable, right? With the attention, the attunement, and the consistency. So thank you for your willingness to explore tonight, to be present, and to put anything else in your life aside for this last hour and a half. Many greetings. You will get this recording in the next day. If anyone wants to stay, I will stay on screen. But I thank you this evening for being here. And shout out to Angela. It's been several years since we worked together, so always cared for your heart and spirit. You're a beautiful woman. So thank you. Dawn, of course, always, and for everyone else who came this evening. I appreciate you. I thank you. We have a saying we say, I see you, I honor you, I love you. From my heart to yours, I wish you much joy in your life and play. May you go and play, however that looks. Good night, everyone.